We decided we want to make more radical changes in our neighborhoods. We want to change the world.
Welcome this evening to the Divine Action panel. Just to tell you a little bit about Divine Action, it is a nonprofit that is created to inspire and facilitate Black sufficiency, self-sufficiency, through initiatives focusing on the individual and communal economic prosperity, Black-centered education, physical and mental health, self-defense, and youth development. So this evening, we are going to have a panel discussion on the D9, community, and social justice. So before we start, I'm going to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves and say what organization they are a part of. So let's go with Queen K.
Hey everybody, my name is Catherine Burton, also known as Kay. I am a fall 2015 initiate of the Delta Chi chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I currently reside in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, and I am an information technology associate for Lockheed Martin Corporation.
Perfect, thank you. Let's go with
Word
Smith.
I'm Trey. I'm a spring 2008 initiated of the Theta Epsilon chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm out here in New York. I live in Queens. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I run an organization called Spread Love NYC, which we've partnered with Divine Action before to do some work in our community. So that's my job right now, is just to work in the community and do that.
Thank you. Jamez.
Hi, my name is Jamez Ashby. I am not Greek. I am, however, I'm an organizational psychology and diversity practitioner. I have my own consulting firm that specializes in diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting, called Diversified Consulting, and I am based out of the Washington, D.C. metro area.
Thank you. Nicole?
Hi, my name is Nicole Parrott Wilson, and I am a Spring 13 initiate of the Zeta Nu chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated at Northern Illinois University. I'm originally from Chicago, currently reside in Brooklyn, and I am an advertising and marketing director for Target.
Thank you. Desiree?
Hi, everyone. My name is Desiree Moore, and I am from Richmond, Virginia. I am a member of the Omicron Tau chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I currently reside in Loudoun County, Virginia, which is right outside of the DC area. I'm a school counselor, and I'm currently getting my doctorate in educational leadership.
Nice. And Gerald.
Peace and blessings. My name is Gerald Jerome Huggins Jr. I am a member. I am a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated by way of Zeta Chapter. I'm also one of the founders of Divine Action Incorporated. I am currently an educator and assistant dean in the New York City charter school system. And welcome everybody. Let's get it going.
Thank you.
Cool. And I guess me. So I'm Rachel Dortch. I am not D9 affiliated. I just like helping out the Black community, which is why I am a part of Divine Action. And I do a whole bunch of other things, but I'm in higher ed as the field. So before we start the panel tonight, just a few ground rules. Try not to cut anyone else. We're gonna have healthy banter and debate. Please watch your language so we can share this with everyone. And we're gonna just kick it off, okay? So the first question is for the D9 members in the group. In your opinion, what are some of the obstacles that the D9 face when we are talking about community work and working in the community? Does anyone want to begin? Go ahead, Desiree.
I think, honestly, that a lot of people unfortunately join our organizations just for the, I guess, lack of better words, clout, and just for the fun and just for the parties. And, let's be real, like, people in the Divine Nine were like mini celebrities. So people see that and it's like they want to join that. But in reality, a lot of times they don't really want to do the work. Like, we know a lot of people who, at least in undergrad, who were real quick, to go to the party, to, make the little duck spit or, jungle juice for the party. But like when it came to chapter meetings, when it came to Sunday service, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm sick. It was just all the excuses. And I feel like even within joining graduate chapters and doing work outside of undergrad, it's still kind of like the excuses that I feel like. So I feel like a lot of times the issues that we face are really just people joining for the wrong reasons. And I feel like the purpose is really just lost.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that just to piggyback off of what she said, I think our biggest obstacle is probably social media and then the image that we all try to uphold, I guess. So like social media being is that, a lot of people are clout chasing, of course. And so then on top of that, I think that sometimes we get in our own way, like our organizations get in our own way of trying to uphold this like elitist status. And yeah, we are, I guess in a way, or we used to be in a way, the kind of, maybe the elite of the Black community, maybe, but I think it's us trying to uphold these images of like not getting too involved with what's going on in the world, or just kind of like sticking a toe in it, if that makes sense, and not going full throttle into some of these things that we should be doing and some of these things that we should be supporting, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, Nicole.
I think, and I agree with both of these ladies. I also think our biggest kind of obstacle is infiltration. And I don't necessarily mean just like non-Black members. That's not, we're gonna get there, but that's not what I'm saying right now. I'm saying that our organizations have taken money from a lot of very large corporations by way of sponsorship, right? Because these corporations want access to all of our names, all of our information, like it helps them financially, but our organizations take that money. And I am of the belief that if you take white people's money, you have to serve white people's interests. Mm-hmm. And if you take that money from them, now you can't go out in the streets and fight for the things that you were founded on, right? You can't say the things that need to be said. You can't do the things that need to be done. It's because you're scared you're gonna lose those sponsorship dollars. And so I really am of the belief that, we have taken money from these corporations and from these places. And now we're telling our members that they can't wear their line jackets when they protest. Now we're telling our members that they can't say X, Y, and Z on social media. And it's like, that's what we were founded for. We were founded to make change. And now you can't tell us that the way that has been most effective historically cannot be done because it doesn't align with the organization's values.
I think and taking money from politicians too.
Exactly.
Politicians as well.
Absolutely. I think for me, when it comes down to just doing the work and getting in our neighborhoods, actually that disconnect between the neighborhoods and the fraternities. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to come in and do work in the community if they just don't know you. Yeah. It's weird that we all, come from these neighborhoods and then we go to these schools and a lot of them are in these neighborhoods and there's no direct connection. You get what I'm saying? I think that as Greeks, our biggest obstacle right now is that talented 10th mindset. Like we're better than they are, or we're not a part of the community. And it's like, this is where we come from. This is what we represent. If we use names like, Martin Luther King to recruit, then we need to be doing the work that Martin Luther King was doing. You get what I'm saying? In some way, some fashion. So I believe that disconnect right there between community and organizations is our hugest obstacle, because trust needs to be built. And if that trust and a rapport isn't there, then it's not going to work.
I love that so much. I know we're supposed to be going around and answering the question, but like, that is so true, because a lot of us are elitists, right? And we saw it in a lot of ways by how we treated people in college who weren't Greek. Mm-hmm. And we let that fly, right? You could treat non-Greeks a certain way, which was crazy. But like that translates into now grad chapter when you see people who are not Greek or people who haven't been to college, or just all these different things where like we look down our noses at the people in our community that we are supposed to be in community with. Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree to that. Go ahead, Gerald.
Sure. Oh, good. All right. But no, everybody's spot on. I'm just pretty much gonna piggyback off everybody. But we all know it starts at the top. It starts at leadership. Leadership is not sticking their neck out to do anything. Like, they're straddling the fence. They've been straddling the fence for years. They're never going to pick a side. And they're never going to just do anything that's going to potentially, like Nicole was saying, risk those different investments or investors that have invested in our organizations. Let's keep it real. Our insurance is high as hell, excuse my language. Our insurance is high as hell. You want to know why? Because we're doing very stupid things behind closed doors. And that's affecting us totally. It really makes no sense. I'm probably going to shake the table a little bit with this one, but I think we need to just get rid of that crap all in all, because it really just makes no sense from a financial point of view. I mean, are we really building people up by breaking them down that hard? It really makes no sense. And then what are you doing after you break them down? How are you building them back up? Are you building them up as like people that are trying to liberate their neighborhoods? Or people try to get up in their neighborhoods? No, they just, what do? They tell you, get in the pageants, do SGA, do all this stuff that means nothing when you leave college. No, I was in school in Richmond. I could count on my hand the amount of times the D9 actually went to that part of Richmond. I ain't talking about VCU Richmond.
Oh no, you talking about
we talking about Jackson
Richmond.
Ward.
I'm talking
about the Ward.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, we talk about the Heights.
Right.
Okay.
They don't.
My dad, bro.
They don't.
Right.
They don't know us. You know what I'm saying? They really don't know what we do. All they know is when they went, it's called Mansion. Mansion was like the best club when I was in Richmond at the time. They knew that when the Bros or whoever threw a party, they were going to be there because that party. Or we do a street cleanup. Nothing really beneficial for to really uplift our community in its totality. So it really, those are like, and then to sum it up, people don't know why they're here. They literally don't know why they're here. They're literally just walking around as like post-pledge zombies. Like they went through whatever they went through, and then they're just walking around with the letters, and they're just trying to uphold the same crap that their terrible chapter has been doing for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and some 100 years. Like, you can, if someone doesn't become that person to be like, yo, we don't have to do it this way anymore, you're going to continue to have the same damn obstacles, okay? If you always did what you always done, you always get what you always got. My profile told me that, and it stuck with me to this day.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, as a non-Greek, I'll tell you, honestly, I wanted to be a part of Greek life at first because, I wanted to do the parties and the strolls and all this other stuff. And as I learned when I was on campus, then I realized, okay, this is a safe space for Black people, which is why I wanted to be a part of it. However, that community service aspect, it just never clicked with me. It was more of, well, the community service you're doing, I can do that on my own. I don't really feel like it's too impactful to people in the Black community if they're not on the college campus. So Jamez, I want to ask you, what community work do you believe the D9s do? Do you think it's impactful?
So I think as a whole, the Divine Nine or NPHC, however you choose to refer to them, definitely a staple within the Black community, especially the African American experience within U.S. context. But thinking specifically about modern day, there is the question of engagement and commitment and what that looks like. You have you hear the terms, and I have a lot of Greek friends. You hear the terms where people are talking about just T-shirt wearers rather than people who are committed to the work. That's not only something that's significant to Divine Nine. It shows up very differently, right? So then the question that I pose as someone on the outside looking in is, when people are looking at people to become members of your organization, are you not seeing their commitment beforehand, or is it just what is the criteria, what is the methodology in which is applied to measure commitment prior to? Because I'm pretty sure somewhere along the way somebody was not showing up or not doing something or not showing up and showing out for Blackness, and the expectation that them getting this membership was going to change them. So thinking of it from that context.
Well, anyone want to answer that?
I'll definitely answer, because it's something that I sat on for a very long time. I think, and what he's saying is that when we cultivate new members and we put them through this process, how do we not see, what I'm saying, what they may lack at, right? And I think that we see it, but what we do is we aim to make them better members of our chapters instead of making them men for our communities. And I think our process reflects that we're bringing them into our organization, but we're not building leaders for our actual communities. You get what I'm saying? It's like they're learning all the history of Greeks. They're learning your history. They're learning somewhat Black history by learning our history as Greeks and things of that nature. But is there a political education portion? You get what I'm saying? Is there a community education portion? There isn't. You get what I'm saying? So it's like we have to now start to, if we have these issues, we have to really look at our processes and really look at how we cultivate these new members and initiates. Are we making them members of Alpha Phi Alpha, but not making them members of Black America and really making them leaders that stand out in Black America? I think that's our biggest obstacle as well.
To be honest, I feel like we should have already been activist or proactive before even joining Greek life, if you want to be honest. Right. Like, you shouldn't all of a sudden want to be involved in the Black community once you join. You should already be active. You should already be volunteering. You should already be having your hands wet even prior to even thinking about becoming Greek. Because then you have those who are like, okay, let me go ahead and do this community service real quick. That way they can see me, and that way they know I'm doing Greek, or not doing Greek, but that way they know I'm doing work, knowing daggone well they had only been doing work for like 2 months right before Rush. No, you should already have the intent and in your heart to want to help out your community. And being Greek is just like the cherry on top. It's just a plus.
Yeah. So Desiree, I have a question for that. How do you feel about the Greek themed protests that happened over the summer?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, mine, girl. The fact that I almost got sued for using the D9 and all the politics, it went into it. Yeah. The Greek themed, the purpose of that was because I saw Greeks not doing anything. We got the cute emails of rest in peace, Breonna Taylor, and we got the, let's vote. And that's all we got from nationals. When I was reaching out to nationals, when I was reaching out to every single local chapter in the area, it was on some COVID, but we'll see you at the Million Man March.
Right.
For the clout. So
with the happy hour juice packs.
Right.
What?
With the happy hour juice packs.
With that.
But that's what I mean when I say, like, it's just you dipping a toe in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you straddling the fence with it. You're just doing the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? Like a RIP not gonna bring that girl back. You know what I'm saying? Or bring anybody back. And yeah, it's okay to say, but like, what else are we doing? Because I mean, in my opinion, like, Black folks been dying. Like this is history. It continues to repeat itself. Yeah. So this is stuff that our founders were going through back then. So it's just something like it's a repetitive thing. So it's like, what are we gonna do? Like, how do we do more? How do we? It's more than just an email. It's more than just a letter. It's more than just, And then you want to be upset because I mean, we do, in my opinion, we move farther and farther away from our founders' visions anyway every day. But with protesting and stuff like that, like that's something that they were doing. Like my founders were literally like in a protest. It's pictures of them like in a protest with their letters on. So like, how is that a problem? You know what I'm saying? Now, when
to answer your question, Rachel, sorry, geez, oh my gosh. To answer your question, there needs to be more of that, but not just protests. There shouldn't be an issue. There shouldn't be a million politics of who's speaking at what and this and that and the third. Greeks need to be out there on the front lines, sitting. When we were doing the sit-in, there was talking and selfies. They were playing the Atomic Dog in the middle of the protest. Man. And and I'm just like, y'all are not taking this serious enough. So it was just part of it, which is like, y'all aren't taking this serious. And then the other half was like, okay, like, we still need to do more. So let me just try to ignore this and try to just keep pushing. I don't know.
I think we all. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Gerald.
Good. Yeah, I think we just come to this. When I was at that protest with Dez, actually, I came to the realization, like, yo, we're like the D9 now. We're not no Black liberation org. Like, we don't have Black liberation thinking people. Like, I was literally standing there. I said, bruhs, do not do anything. This is not about any. And this might be,
But that's what y'all do. So,
but at this point in time,
everything's about y'all.
And I hate it because it's like there's only one org that I think should really say, because Sandra Bland hit me a different type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like, that joint pierced my soul. So I was like, all right, if anybody want to do anything like a call for like Sandra Bland or something like that, it should be SG Rose. But then here come everybody doing. I saw people strolling and people singing their songs, and I'm like, dog, this is not about us, bro. And then one of my frat brothers cut on the dog. And it's just like, yo, it's proving my point. Like, we're not, like I said, we're not revolutionaries. Like, our orgs aren't revolutionary at all. So maybe it's unfair for us, people that think like me, to assume that people in our orgs actually want to be revolutionaries, because most of them really do not.
They don't.
So maybe that's on us. And then another issue we have is my frat brothers say this crazy thing about like not wanting to recruit no more. Like, we don't recruit. Omega seeks no man, man seeks Omega. And they wonder why. So, and then you wonder why your chapter looks the way it does.
Right.
Because look at who you attract. So that tells you everything about your chapter. So if you attract, and we all had those people that was 2.49 with a grade change, those type of people, you know what I'm saying? Or you had the people that showed up to everything. But
now, brother.
Oh,
hey, let's take the table now, brother.
And then even with listen, I'll speak for my chapter. Like, listen, we had some dudes in my chapter that would have been great men of Omega and would have been right next to me with everything I had going on. But guess what? They couldn't handle the process.
Oh, we know.
So now they're not a part. They'll never be a part of Omega, because now you didn't finish the process, and you know that word spreads like wildfire. So everybody gonna look at you like, oh, you the such and such that didn't want to finish the process. So now your word is not even valid within this network. And that's the mentality we have at the D9 right now. So how the hell can we get better if we are really getting rid of some of our best prospects? And then the people we have ain't trying to uplift the community, ain't trying to be revolutionary at all.
And G, I'm gonna tap in with you on that too. So when we talk about process, right? That means if you, I'm gonna figure out how to say this. If you made right, then you have a special, you know what I'm saying, special set of skills, right? And we're prepared for the sit-ins, the pressure. That's what our processes is built on, correct? So it's crazy that we're out there strolling and dancing when in fact we were made to do exactly what we're supposed to do out there, and we aren't doing it. So we take pride in this process that we don't even use when it's time to use it. This is what we was made to do.
And Gerald, I want to go back to something you said, because you said because of what happened with Sandra Bland, the SG Row should have been able to do listen, as an SG Row, I can say that I've been disappointed with my organization's response to the murder of Sandra Bland, right? Like, I can say that I've been disappointed in that, because if that wasn't enough to radicalize our leadership, if that wasn't enough for us to be able to do the work that we wanted and needed to do, I don't have much hope for anything else. And that is really right around the time that I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to find my community to do this work, right? Like people who share our values, kind of, Gerald, like you were saying. And that's not going to just be in my organization. Like, we're gonna have to find non-Greek folks, we're gonna have to find other organizations, we're gonna have to reach out to people in different fraternities and sororities. Like, you gotta find your tribe, you gotta find your community, because our leadership ain't it.
I piggybacking, you are 100% right. I'm an alpha, and doing community work and trying to get them involved, it's like pulling teeth. We got to do a meeting, paperwork. We got to do a paperwork for the meeting. All right, cool. Y'all do it.
You got to make sure you don't get sued for using the wrong lingo. Sorry, I'm still pissed. Don't let
headquarters see it. Don't let national see it, because they're going to send you a strongly worded letter.
That's why.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize for that. I apologize.
But
it was triggering.
Triggered.
Listen, I know. Look, I know. And then the other thing I wanted to say, like, we gotta, I know we keep saying like doing the work. We gotta define what the work is, right? Because not all community services work. And sometimes a lot of us be doing community service to say that we're doing community service. Our chapters are doing community service to say that they're doing community service. And excuse my language, but the community service ain't doing shit for nobody's community. It's to rack up them hours so you can win an award at the end of the semester or from some nonprofit that don't mean shit. And meanwhile, you haven't done anything in your community. So the other thing we need to do is define what the work is, because it's a lot of us skating by saying we doing work and ain't doing nothing.
But the thing is that we have to be creative. There's so much work that we could do.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to do. Right. So there's really no excuses, and we all learned about those.
Right.
I think there's something that you all touched upon, and it goes back to your organizations were founded. The founding of your organizations were essentially a protest in themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So they were protesting the current system in which, Black folk were living, especially within an educational context. But it comes back to what you just said. What you talked about is, you were upset with your organization leadership because they weren't radicalized, and I think it's understanding that these organizations have now progressed into larger systems that have to play this civility game, right? So when you measure civility, you can't be as radical as you used to be because you're taking the money from, A Corp, B Corp, C Corp, and you have to figure out a way to mitigate this. Like, okay, I'm still Black, but I can't be Black because we definitely want this partnership with this employer to work out for our members. And it comes to a point of what is your commitment? Who is your commitment to? Is your commitment, and this may sound wrong, but I hope you all are fine. Is your commitment to this organization, or is your commitment to Black lives? And I think that's where people get it confused. Is like, your commitment should be to Black lives. The vessel in which you show for that commitment should be your respective organizations. And I think people get it very, very conflated. And now it's like, thinking you have to kind of go back to that original historical context. Like, okay, these organizations were founded, and what did that look like? Some of these organizations were started like right off of the foot of slavery. Mm-hmm. Well, still looking at those things, right? Looking at the disenfranchisement of the Black community at that time. Those things are still at play. They just have morphed into other ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's well put. And going back to what Nicole said about, we need to define what the work really is, right? How can we best serve our communities? So I want to ask you guys, what do you think the work is? Give me some examples of what can we do to help the Black community outside of voting?
Right. I was going to say, don't say voting.
Can we do this real quick and talk about, I do want to talk about voting in the sense of, there's another aspect of voting that we're not talking about. So we're saying go out and vote, right? And we're talking about presidential elections, and now that's the real big push. But people are failing to realize that the way in which it's still the popular vote versus the electoral vote, right? So if you don't understand how the Electoral College votes, and that some of the Electoral College representatives do not have to vote in favor of the popular vote,
right?
Then voting is still like it's something, but it's still nothing. Right. Like that's one piece of the entire puzzle. So when people talk about voting, like go out and vote, okay, I need you to also go out and vote and then educate me on how the electoral process works.
I think voting is I think people get when the revolutionary misconstrued when it comes to voting. Most revolutionaries not going to tell you not to vote. They're just telling you not to vote for the crap that's given to us right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the Panthers was like grooming people to get into local politics. I mean, it's possible, but the problem is we are voting for. We know what we're voting for. Even I even looked it up. I just so happened to look up the people in my district in Brooklyn. I'm not impressed, but guess what?
Right.
It's a brother, and people probably gonna do the typical thing that they did in 08. And they did in 12. It's a brother, shit, why not? So that's why I'm kind of like voting is an option. It's a part of it, but there's a lot of other parts to it. Like I'm big on self-defense. I was an ex-bodyguard, ex-security guard. So self-defense is something that we need to get acclimated into the D9. And that doesn't eliminate sororities either, because I'm not gonna put her out here, but someone on this call is packing highly, and she lives in Texas, and she's not scared to use it. So it's possible. Like self-defense is a thing that needs to be implemented within the D9. Also economics, which I can't lie to you. Outside of trying to get fundraising for chapter events, we're not talking about economics when it comes to the community that surrounds our organization or surrounds our certain chapter. I haven't heard it once. Y'all may have heard it in y'all chapter meetings, but I have never heard it when it comes to like trying to build some sort of wealth within the community. With all the resources that Omega has, and I know other organizations have, because we know there are organizations that are popping out a lot of membership at about 1,800, 2,000 a clip, with about 80 on the line. You do the math. I mean, 10 of those lines, you could damn near start a charter school. It's something to think about. Then, you know, the health aspect, there's no way I can say that with your mental and physical health and the D9 at this point, they don't really go hand in hand just due to the process that it takes to get to become a Divine Nine member. Because, I mean, when you think of the process, what about the process is really helping your physical and mental health? I'm not going to speak for everybody. That did nothing for my mental health. It actually made it worse. My physical health made it worse. So, I mean, what's the benefit of that? So we need to focus on health in the right way. So if you want to focus more on trying to get people, you know, healthier, you know, saying maybe through some training, some physical training, just to exercise. That's what you want to do, cool. But all the extracurricular on top of that, it makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? And then really the biggest thing is really developing the youth. And that includes people that's in the D9, because we have people crossing that 17, 18, 19, 20. And let's be real here. You are adult, but you ain't grown at 20. You're not grown at 21. You're damn near not grown at 25 for some people. I can't speak for everybody. So like, you still are developing that neo. And how are you developing that neo? Are you going to develop them to do the same old weird, speaking for my org, you just walk up to a girl and look at it and stick your tongue out and then pick her up? That's what you want to teach her? Like, how is that? What's that doing? Oh, you see a new black man come on your yard from your fraternity and you treat him like shit just to eat. Not even talking about hanging out, just so you can eat a piece of chicken. You have to go through hell. And I'm not speaking through I can't speak for every other org, but people on this.
I wish we had that.
You know, well, you see, but people know when you see the bros and they in that little circle thing, bro, it's hell.
Don't you hate when we act like everything folks accuse gangs of being?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna run that trope, right? Because that's a trope. Like, we are not gang members. No. Most people don't even understand. Most people ain't never met a gang member, because if you did, you wouldn't think half the things that you think. Right. But what I'm saying is, like, you know, a lot of how we treat each other, Gerald, to your point, is about protecting the boundaries of the organization and not about unity and how we can pool our resources and our energy and our talents to benefit our community.
I have another way of looking at that. Do you think some of it is looked at, I'm not that type of black?
Yeah, definitely.
That's the elitism.
That's right. The elitism, literally.
And that's the problem. If you're not that type of black, then you might want to go join Tri Delta or SAE. Or something like that. Go be one of their little token. Almost said the N word.
I was gonna say, so they could call you a nigga every day.
But they probably like it. Who knows? I mean, I'm gonna keep it funky. My founder was a part of one of them type of organizations. Says a lot about that kind of brother. But that's neither here nor there. I talk about him all the time. That's a whole nother thing. I ain't gonna get into.
You do.
Yeah, I ain't gonna get into just right now. But just look at it. I mean, and that's also a thing. Let's be realistic, right? Mm-hmm. We are not, the people on this call right now, for the most part, we don't think like our founders. Trust me, we don't. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't speak for y'all founders, but I know my founders would not be out there doing what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna keep it funky with you. And a lot of people that came after them back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, they would not be doing what the things we're doing right now. Like my organization, they gave an honorary membership to a white guy back in the 20s. So that shows you their mentality. So everybody talking about my founders would have did this, that, and the third. We need to have an honest conversation about our founders, because y'all might be putting out that misinformation that they was really like out there, you know, liberating black folks, when in general, they were just trying to appease white folks too. Just like why we'll go to Vegas for Clave and spend millions of dollars to go stay in the Caesars Hotel. Mm-hmm. But we have a freaking headquarters in Atlanta on acres of land in a big old building we can have our meetings and cut the cost, save money. But
so I got a question for the group. This is gonna be a hot question, so
we like hot.
Let's limit it to like maybe a minute to 2 minutes. I'm gonna kick it to Jemez first. Do you believe that non-Black people should be granted access to Black organizations, whether it's the D9 or grassroots organizations? Think about what y'all want to say. Keep it to like 2 minutes.
I'm gonna mute myself real quick.
I don't even need
That's a great number, 2.
Let's keep it to 2 minutes. I'm gonna kick it to Jemez.
So I would say yes and no. And the reason I say yes and no is because I can't give a definite answer. And Desiree probably knows where I'm going with this. I can't give a definite answer unless there's context provided, right? So let's be honest, there are some white people that I rather engage with around race and diversity and social justice. I would choose some white folk over some Black folk every day. And that's just being honest, because some Black folk that I'm like, you're doing more harm than help to the game. But we also need white people this is my perspective. I am going to need a white person to give me their privilege in certain spaces and places, right? Okay. So I'm going to need that white person, but knowing that, hey, you are playing a role and you don't talk unless I say that you can talk. You don't show up unless I say, hey, we need to do this, right? But I don't think that they don't necessarily need direct membership or that direct, correlation, right? So you can still, be a white person who have a friend who's Black and have a friend who's in the Divine Nine, show up and show out for them, but you don't need to be the white member that gets all the social media presence. Like, we all know that one person that was out everywhere, showed up to Howard's homecoming and was like talking about all the clout. It took all, and I was like, why are we sitting here talking about this young white man?
Gerald, fix your face.
So I think
that's really it, right? We have to think about there's a yes and I feel like there's yes and no, but there's so much more context to it to be able to give that direct answer.
Okay, Nicole.
Let me just start by saying I believe that the path to Black liberation will never be through white people. Never. They don't need to be involved in anything we do. They don't need to be invited. They don't need, I know you said they don't need membership, but they don't need, the only time you need their privilege is when you are trying to work within their systems. And for me, if these are spaces that are created for Black people, for the betterment of Black people, not only are white people of no use, they are harm. Whether they know it or not, regardless of what their intentions are, regardless of what they're saying or doing, their presence is harm because they have invaded a space that was not meant for them. They have invaded a space that historically they are dangerous within, right? Like, we don't need to involve ourselves with them. I think the other thing about like white people saying and doing the right thing and blah, blah, that's fine. Tell them to do that in their organizations. Tell them to go do that amongst themselves. They don't need to come preach to us or talk to us. They preach into the choir. And so I know a lot of Black folks like to say like, hey, you know what, you need white folks, or to not have them in your organizations or tell them they can't be there is racist, which tells me you don't know what racism is, but that's neither here nor there. To me, that also tells me that you don't value your Black spaces and you don't want us to value them either. The end. End tweet.
I don't think we got to respond to that right there. I don't think.
Wait, we can snap it all.
Yeah, snaps for that. Desiree.
That was very well worded, and I 100%. What?
Sorry, I just wanted to ask the question again just for the recording.
Good, because I forgot.
Desiree, tell me, do you believe that non-Black people should be granted access to Black organizations?
I know Gerald is waiting for me to say this answer. Okay, so prior to a certain year, I was like, you know what? Like, if you're non-Black, why not join the org to try to help us? But only if they're vetted in the right way, not on some, oh, they're interested, and then people just kind of let them join all willy-nilly. I still, in many ways, am okay, but I feel as though nowadays a lot of non-Black people, even our Hispanic people, tend to join these orgs for clout. And I'm seeing that more and more and more. Whereas at first I was kind of just like, okay, like whatever, I'm seeing them doing work. Cool, maybe they're here to support. But I feel like now I'm kind of opening my third eye a little bit more on the topic. Gerald, stop. Because we used to go back at it for years. So I think ultimately, as long as they're vetted in the right way, and not just vetted in a sense, oh, they're just doing work and being around a group of deltas for 2 months. I'm talking about years of being vetted, years of proving their worth, years of doing the actual work, years of not just trying to prove themselves to their local deltas. And I think in some cases, I'm okay with it. Not all, but some. Depending on the context, depending on the person, depending on where that person is from, etc.
And just for a quick follow-up question, what made you change this line of thinking between, yes, if they're down for the cause, go ahead, to they need to be very vetted?
So
did something happen? No, event?
Sorry. My ex-boyfriend, oh Lord have mercy, Jesus. He was a white Puerto Rican from New York. Alpha as well. And just throughout the years, I mean, fuck that nigga. You can erase that. But just throughout the years, I would see him say, or he would say, oh, I'm just about to go out with the alphas, and it'll be just for like an event, no actual doing work. Or like he would talk about him being on campus, and it would just be like for the clout. He would say things like, there's no such thing as colorism. Slavery barely really happened. He would say things like, there's no such thing as transgenerational trauma. And when we would have children, he would want their green eyes. And he would legitimately say things. And mind you, we're both Puerto Rican, but I'm Black and he's white. I'm like, okay, now I see that you just joined this just for the clout. You really don't know anything about Black culture, and you just did it for basically just the letters. And that was a big eye opener, because I would always defend him. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and Gerald will go at it. Like, you're not about to come for my man. But now I see EYE. I see the truths and the realities that a lot of non-Blacks, including Hispanics, tend to just like celebrities. They want to mooch off of Black culture, but not really be one of us, not really want to truly support of us. So, it's a long-winded answer, but I think y'all get my point.
Yep, well said. Wordsmith.
I'm glad you broke up with him.
I would
oh yeah, girl, he ain't
shit.
It
would be disrespectful to try to be eloquent on this topic more than Miss Nicole did. So I'm gonna just say no, and then rewind and go back to what she said, and then play it again, because word.
Okay. Kay?
I'm gonna say no. I think Gerald, like we've talked about it before, like you can be an ally without joining the organization. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can help. That don't mean you gotta be a part. You know what I'm saying? So, and with the whole, like, in a sense, like maybe, yeah, but like, no, not really. That's why they have their organizations or whatever on their white campuses and stuff like that. So, and I don't know if there'll ever be a time where any of the Divine Nine will partner with Kappa Alpha Iota, but like, that's what I would rather do rather than they become members of our organizations. Because in the words of my father, and Gerald has heard him say this, Black people can't have nothing. So that's why I said, like, you can be an ally without being a member. You can help donate, but then, then we go back to the, if you take white people money, then you got to appease them. So You can just help. When we need it, we're going to let you know what we need from you, and then we can go from there.
Just drop off the money at the door.
Right. Like, don't write a check because then it's traceable back. So just give us cash. So, you feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just give us cash, and then we'll go from there.
Sorry, I have a clarifying question. So when we say access, we're talking directly like membership affiliation.
I don't think they touch us at all, but that's neither here nor there.
Got it. Okay. That okay.
You want to add on to your comment, or?
Well, no, that changes it. So like
can I ask you, does that change your answer?
It does. So membership, no, but access as far as education and helping, because I think the organizations can lead in that respect, right? So thinking about how to organize, how to create long-lasting, sustainable, tangible, networks of like-minded individuals, that access to help, and not specifically white folks, but people of, I'm gonna just probably stick with our Hispanic and Latinx brothers and sisters, because other people of color can be a little, they can be easily susceptible to whiteness, but helping like Latinx and Hispanic communities with the same understanding of kind of that the protest worthy actions. So that helps.
Okay, Gerald, I'm gonna get to you, but Nicole, you got something to piggyback off of?
I guess I just have a question for Jemez. So you said something about like-minded individuals, so giving them access to like folks who are like-minded in these organizations?
No. So what I'm saying is your organizations, right? There's always a thing of like, your organizations each stand for different things, but still, however, they have a correlation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most of the times you find people within your organizations who are like-minded, right? There's something that binds you all
right.
that one organization, right? So but what I'm saying is being able to create a system in which that network has now lived on for over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is something that that's how we are then able to recreate the system, right? So if we are going to dismantle the system of whiteness and recreate something else, we're going to need people who are part of a network that has been living and lasting for so long, right? That has the same commitment to be able to help us lead that charge, right? So from my perspective, when I say like looking at social justice movements, I think there should be two primary leaders of the social justice movement nowadays, right? In context, it should be the Black church and the Divine Nine. And I say that because they were the root and starting of most of the work that we, as a diversity practitioner, most of the stuff that I look for are coming from either, members of these organizations or people who are also members of the organization and pastors, right? So there's something rooted there that they have some connection, they have some understanding of bringing forth this work and making it long lasting, having the engagement to kind of withstand time. So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, I don't want to take up too much time. Thank you for explaining that. Maybe you and I can connect another time to talk about it, because I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, but I also understand that we don't have a lot of time here and Gerald hasn't had a chance to answer the question. So I'm gonna shut up, but let's connect later.
Okay.
Mr. Huggins, so tell me, do you believe that non-Black people should be granted access to Black organizations?
All right.
Lord help us.
Let me preface this statement by saying we and some others, you that are on the call, started an organization called Divine Action Incorporated, correct? We made it very and abundantly clear that we are Black first. What does Black first mean? It's what it says. We Black first, okay? We put our people first, and I might have had to put a slash and put only, because honestly, at this point, it's how do I put this in the best way? At this point, we all we got. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, and I've made it very clear in front of a protest in front of a bunch of white people. I said, hey, I can't tell y'all to leave, but y'all ain't gonna be in the front of this march, for one, and y'all cannot be a part of Divine Action. For two, if you want to help, by means, because I remember one day we had we didn't do the protest, and we trying to get some money for the concealed carry permits for the sisters throughout the country, and they sent like $250. So we got about 3 sisters that they got their concealed carry permit. Cool. All right. And I said, listen, I don't want anything on the underlying like wants and needs, anything. I don't want y'all to have any type of input. We got this. We just need whatever little bread y'all give, we'll take it. But even with that, I'm not trying to really get into that business of just taking money from white people, because eventually they're going to want something. That's just how it's going. That's how it's been since the beginning of time. That's why we're over here in a sense, but I'm not gonna get too far into that. Now, when it comes to the D9, no. It's really no need, because I hear on again, this is why I joined because I had a couple Black friends. I want to help better the Black community. Oh, so the white person's gonna come to Black people and try and help us with the issues that your people created. Cool. So instead of you going to SAE, Kappa Delta, all these different white organizations telling them why y'all need to get y'all ish together, you're gonna come to us because you know it's easy to appease a lot of these bougie, talented 10th Negroes that want to be accepted by people that look like you. So to alleviate from that, you cannot join. My chapter has been around for over 100 years to this day. We have not had one white member. Okay, it's perfect. Let's put that out there. Okay, now with saying that, I have met brothers in my fraternity who had deans and ADPs who were white or not Black. Now, I want y'all, for people that don't know what that means, your dean brings you into the fraternity. So now you have given white people the power to say you cannot join a Black fraternity or sorority. If you see nothing wrong with that, you're a part of the problem. And if you see nothing wrong with that, you don't need to be a part of D9 either. We are at the point where in 10 years, and I'm not gonna say what org, because they know who they are going to have a president that is not Black. It's coming. And I promise you, I'm gonna have the biggest smile on my face, because I told y'all this years ago. It's going to happen. We are too accepting. That has been our issue for years. At what point will we realize that infiltration is a thing? It has always been a thing. And if they're not going to infiltrate with white people, the white people are going to try and influence the Negroes that that I've been talking about, that let the white people in, to sabotage it from the inside. I don't have to give you the examples. Everybody know what happened to all these different Black organizations. It is a problem. It needs to stop. I'm gonna give a perfect example. I'm gonna end on this. This is how I know we are really lost. Omega Psi Phi has a white member at a Black college who crossed in the 90s, whose grandfather and father were Klansmen. He been beating on Black people since 1997. The chapter knows who I am. And when this gets posted, I have no issue having that conversation in person, because I was there when we had the conversation before. Much love to the young brothers that I met from that chapter, but I told them that is some BS. Vetting. I've heard that word a couple times. There is no way in hell you become a member of Zeta chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and your grandfather and your father was a Klansman.
Okay, so to end on a light note, right? Let's talk about, why do you love your org? And I don't know if that's the wording. I don't know if that's the thing. Okay, why did you want to join your org, or why do you love your org? Why do you still continue to be financial and be a part of it? And what does a genuinely impactful D9 look like to you? For Jamez, why do you like doing the DEI work that you like to do? So anyone who wants to start.
I'm gonna get it out the way.
Go ahead.
My family members were Omegas. What attracted me to Omega was them telling me that I'm not ready, them never telling me about Omega. So they made me seek it out myself. So it made me want to join Omega. In my heart, I believe Omega was going to give me the platform to be able to create change in my community. That is exactly why I joined. It took me 3 months to understand that is not going to happen, because every time I said something that may have shook a table or something, I get a call from an old head, I get a call from a district representative, I get a call from my LBs, I get blown up all over every social media page just for saying something that everybody else is thinking, but they just too scared to say. So I joined because I thought I was gonna, my favorite Omega man of all time, Khalid Muhammad. When the last time you ever heard Omega shouting out Khalid Muhammad? Never, because he was a revolution.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that until just now.
My point exactly. The man crossed at Dillard in the 60s. Khalid Muhammad was the leader of the Black Panther, new Black Panther Party. He was the man. Radical, revolutionary, call it what you want. But they'll never boost him. But they gonna boost Shaq. They're gonna boost Steve Harvey. And they didn't even, sorry.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. They gonna, oh wait, what was that dude name? What's Jay something? Terrence J. Yeah, Terrence Howard. I think Terrence Howard's a signal. Terrence J. They gonna boost all these people. I mean, Omega has shown their card. They've shown their card at this point. I mean, I don't know what else and I don't know about your org, but Omega has shown me their card. I don't get me wrong, I'm a financial member, but that's because I'm about to run for Grand Boss. Now everybody knows. This is after I had never been done before, the way I'm about to do it. I'm gonna run for Grand Boss, and in my 2 years, I am literally going to flip Omega upside down if elected. I'm going to get the young brothers to get financial, to vote, and we're going to get the power out of these 1960s, 70s, 80s bros' hands who are clearly just following and just appeasing.
My dad's gonna love this one.
Oh, tell your dad what's up.
Oh, he's gonna love it.
Listen,
I cannot wait.
Listen. So I love Omega because I'd be dumb to not love something I put as much work in and less sweat in and much blood into. But I also love Divine Action. And if Omega pisses me off anymore, I will be strictly Divine Action. And I'm okay with that. I can live with that. I'm okay, because you know what? The people that started my organization with me, I know they got my back. I know they support me. And I know that I can say whatever the hell I want, and they got me. They might say, in the background, they might be like, yo, G, you got to chill. But 9 times out of 10, they think the same way. So I'm okay. But I'm going to give Omega one last chance, and I'm going to run for boss. And if it don't work out, hopefully I spark the young brothers to try and do the same. But we're going to revolutionize Omega, because I am tired. And that is it. All I'm saying.
It's going to be good.
Okay. So let's go to, I guess, the Deltas in the room. Tell me, why do you still partake in your organization? What do you love about it? And what does the impactful D9 look like to you?
I'll go. So, I mean, I love Delta Sigma Theta. I do. Now, I didn't grow up with a lot of Deltas around me, but just in undergrad, I was always seeing them doing work. I'm talking about busting events every week and doing forums, collaborating with other organizations, doing mentoring and tutoring programs in the Newport News area. And since education is my field, I just felt like I was just drawn to Deltas. Even when I started to mentor and tutor in the school systems, Deltas were running the whole school. So I was like, okay, they're about action, they're about change. And if you know me well, I'm not the type of person to just sit around. I'm the type of person to just go out and do it and figure it out and get my hands dirty. So ultimately, that's why I was interested in Delta. That's why I'm continuously, working to work hard in my community, in my chapter. That's why I'm financial. I'm also just the type of person who, if I put my heart in something, I'm going to stick with it. Like, I'm very loyal. I'm very committed. If you give me a task, I'm going to get it done. If not, I'm probably going to end up doing better than what I said I was going to do. That's just who I am as a person. So that's really ultimately that in a nutshell. I hope that just with Divine Action, that's going to help D9, or at least showcase D9 members to get more work done, if that makes sense. I hope that maybe in the next year or two, we can actually start cultivating real plans with getting the D9 involved. Because this past summer, like that was a little taste. That was just me being impulsive and doing a little taste. Like, we got letters to the MPHC coming. I live right outside DC. I'm right here at where everything is going down. So it's not over. It might be getting cold outside, but ain't nothing on like putting a little jacket on and continue to get my hands dirty. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, the question was, what was the first two again? I remember the last part. What was the first two?
So the first two was just talking about, why are you still financial? Why do you still participate with your org?
Okay. And why do you love it? Okay. I love Delta mainly because I did grow up around Greek life. I grew up around a lot of Deltas. Being from the same chapter as my mother, my sister, my aunt, and my cousin, and seeing the hard work that they put in over the years and seeing the achievements that they've accomplished and amassed over the years is kind of what drew me. Of course, every woman, for the most part, that has been influential in my life is a Delta. And so that is what drew me to it. That's why I still love it. It's the legacy of it all, something that I get to, if I ever decide to have children, that will be passed down to my children and even down to my niece. My sister has a daughter. And so that's something that even at a young age that we are now sharing with her. And it's not just about, the letters in itself. It's just about Black women being educated. So it's about, going to school and everything and following your dreams and stuff like that. So, but what keeps me still near Delta is the work that we do and the things that we have accomplished over the years. And that's what keeps me near it. That's what the fact that Delta kind of takes pride in and takes a big hand in Black women in the STEM community, because that's what I'm in. And so, and that's actually what drew me more to Delta, because I went to a Delta event and one of the past presidents met her, figured out that she was a STEM major, and made it a cool thing for Black women to be smart and to almost kind of be nerdy and to be techie in a way, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what keeps me near. That's kind of why I still love it. It's the legacy of it all. It's the fellowship of it all. Even when coming down here, I moved here by myself, and I had friends down here that I didn't even know until I moved down here. But that's because when you share the same shield with somebody, it kind of just, it brings that bond about. So, but as far as the more impactful Divine Nine, I would like to see us sticking our neck out there more. I would like to see us to stop straddling the fence. I would like to see us diving completely in and actually coming up with solutions to some of the stuff that's going on in the world right now. Like, how can we stop police from killing people? Like, what are the non-lethal tactics that y'all say y'all learn at the academy? Like, why don't they come up when you in that scenario or when you in real time? So how can we, you know what I'm saying? How can we better, I don't know, the justice system and everything like that, like all of the things that are going on right now. How can we do better? What are the solutions? Because I'm like, like I said, I'm in tech. So for me, it's like algorithms. It's like, okay, start, finish. Like, okay, so how are we going to finish? How are we going to get to solving this problem? Because right now we just in the middle, roaming. Like we need to hurry and get to, because I mean, at the end of the day, I always say I think Black people are becoming extinct because I mean they're killing us. So,
Jamez, you're muted.
You're on mute.
I feel like you can't go one Zoom meeting without someone telling someone like, yeah, you're on mute. You're on mute. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Jamez.
My commitment to the work is through the lens of humanity is non-negotiable, right? So what that looks like is to be human, to walk this earth, there should never be a conversation about if somebody has that right or the opportunity to do that. But most importantly, I do it for this year has probably been one of the hardest years. I've been doing diversity work for 6 years. Started out in higher education, but doing it this year, I do it for the 28 people whose names we never heard of. The 28 people who were the 28 Black lives that were brutally taken outside of the 8 that we hear of on the news. Mm-hmm. Right? So I do it for those people because this work is I correlate it directly to people's lives. Like people's lives are at stake. This is not cute. Let's talk about race relations and kumbaya and racial reconciliation. This is no, I need you to get up, get out there. Like if you talk about this work, I need you to be able to sacrifice. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because this is sacrificial work.
Well put. Wordsmith, tell me, what is a genuine, impactful D9? What does that look like to you? And why do you love your org? Why are you still financial? Why are you still involved?
I don't know too much about those last 3 questions, but I'll answer the first one.
Okay.
I think in an impactful D9 org, I put a lot of thought into this, right? So we have chapters everywhere, and those chapters are usually based in near communities with Black people in poor communities. So every chapter needs to be partnered with a community organization that's actually active and local to them, so that 1, they can be of actual assistance in the community, and 2, if they don't have that political education and know-how of what to do and how to organize, they are then getting that political education and know-how as it pertains to organizing. So I think an impactful D9 is actually partnered with an organization. Every single chapter is partnered with a local community organization that is active, that to where they can go and get a political education and actually do some sustainable work. When it comes to loving my organization, I think that I have an unconditional love for my org because I came in a little differently. Like I'm a first generation college student. So I came into college, I was still gangbanging. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't really understand what the D9 was, none of that. You get what I'm saying? Like even when I was pledging and thought the Kappas and the Deltas was brothers and sisters because they just had on red and white. You feel what I'm saying? Like that's how disconnected I was from Greek life. I knew nothing about it. So for me, it was the connections to certain bros that I met that was like me. And I was doing different things that I didn't have that example of. Like I didn't know hood dudes could be corporate dudes. I didn't know none of that. I didn't even know what I was doing in college. You feel what I'm saying? So coming in and learning that and getting that know-how from those bros definitely changed my life in that sense, to where I was able to go on a straight and narrow path and see a different, you know what I'm saying? See a different perspective. Like there's hood corporate dudes. That's fine. You could do that. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know what I mean? Learning that and then, you know, getting those gems and being able to, you know, I was heavily involved in, you know, cultivating and bringing people in, you know, deaning and ADP and so many lines that I did. It was like bringing those brothers in, and it was a lot of them that was like me, you get what I'm saying? And having that impact on them and changing their lives as well. That's why I will always, you know what I'm saying, love my all from that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was able to definitely impact my life, and I was able to impact lives as well.
Nice. And Nicole.
Yeah, so I mean, initially, like just joining my organization, I remember when I first went to college. So neither of my parents had gone to college, and I didn't really know much about Greek life. My aunt's a Delta, but when you have no context for what any of this means, you're just like, okay, girl, you be going places on Saturdays, every other Saturday, I guess. But when I first went to college, I remember it was like the first week, and like all the orgs had their little tables, and like you came in and learned about everyone. And I remember seeing this sea of pink and green. I saw a sea of red and white. And I swear there were 3 SG Rows that walked in. And that was the first time I saw how mighty a small group of women could be. And I loved how powerful they were. I mean, I watched them for months after that. And, you know, we could all go down our stories about why we chose our orgs and when we first saw them and all of that. But I will say that the first time I was inspired to join my organization was interacting with these women and seeing what they were doing in their community. And it would only be a few of them, but they would just be so mighty. Right. So that was what kind of sparked my interest in my organization and inspired me to join, was that chapter. And then obviously the history of the organization that I won't go into. I will say that I came to the table with the stuff that you need to not just be a good member of a Greek letter organization, but like a good member of the Black community. I came to the table with that. So I'm not going to say that SGRO made me, but it refined me a lot during that time. And I'm eternally appreciative for that. And that's why I do stay so close. I think the other thing is, this might be weird to say, but I love NPHC as much as I love Sigma, because we are Black organizations. And in a lot of ways, I believe that NPHC history is Black history. The good, the bad, the ugly, it is Black history. And so my love of Black people makes me love NPHC. It makes me love my organization. I will say that what a more impactful D9 looks like, I think the first thing is like just kind of rejecting infiltration on every level. It means not taking money from these corporations and figuring out how we can get the money from these thousands and thousands and thousands of members that we all have to keep our organizations afloat and do the work that we need to do. I think it also looks like, I know we already talked about it, we don't need white members. This might be an unpopular opinion. I think allyship is a myth. And I think if real allies did exist, they wouldn't want to join Black organizations and infiltrate Black spaces. What ally would want to do that? But I think that also means like rejecting white ideals and standards for success, because a lot of white standards of success are individualism, and we can't afford to do that. So I would love to see an NPHC that focused more on actual community as a form of success rather than individual success, how much money you can make, how you climb the corporate ladder, those kinds of things. That's it, and tweet.
Perfect, thank you. So everyone, shout out to you guys for joining us today. Thank you so much. Again, this is the Divine 9 Action panel. If you want to contact us, you can always just Google or visit our website at DAINC.net, or you can just look us up on Twitter or Instagram, Divine_Action, or you can always look us up on Facebook. So we're all over the place. Please come get in contact with us. We would love to hear your thoughts on tonight's panel.
We decided we want to make more radical changes in our neighborhoods. We want to change the world.